we're back in Factorio. So yes, we're on the HMS Buttocks. It's not a silly little name created by a silly little man to do silly little humour of the toilet. It's literally, there was a general once called Buttocks. Now you're probably Googling that to try and find out if it's a lie. It's a lie. I just thought I'd say it because it made me smile. It's like Wellington, you know, the Wellington boot. That was named after Wellington, the Duke. Apparently, quite a few of the old Napoleonic dukes had boots named after them. I bet you didn't know that, did you? There you go. So, we are now a multi-planetary species in Factorio. We have gone from Nauvis, we're going over to Volcanus. Now, obviously I could make, again, a very silly, crass joke about the word Volcanus, the way it's spelt. Go and look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to do that because that would be beneath me. It's actually way above me, but I'll pretend it's beneath me. So here we are. So I've cut out a few bits here because, again, I'm not into the realm of doing 1,000 videos of every plant that I put down and telling you why I did it that way. Volcanus, to me, when I landed on it, I'm laughing to myself because when I landed on Volcanus, you see where I'm going with it? Okay, I'll stop. When I landed here, I realised, yeah, it's very different. Obviously, different planet. Everything's very different here, and you have to think about how you would survive. So the basic things are, you know, sulfuric acid is pumped out of the ground. There's no water. There's no patches of iron or copper. So what you have to do is you have to convert lava. You pump lava into foundries, and you basically distill the goodness out of it. The rock is a side product of that, so stone becomes a side product of the process. And oh yeah, you got these little things as well, these huge big friendly worms. If you haven't seen my little short or TikTok, I did actually think they were friendly when I first saw them because they didn't attack, did they? They seemed to sort of come to the base and then go around. So there's wonderful like 20 minutes where I'm just sat watching this thing. I was actually on the phone to my lawyers at the time. True story. And basically I was trying to work out what why they weren't attacking the base, and I thought it's because they were friendly. Now I know that there is a lot of wiki and factoriopedias, etc. in the game that tell me exactly what I need to know about this. I don't read things. I have become famous for never reading anything. And then I saw this, I wondered, did I do something wrong? And then I realised I'd actually built into that little hazardy bit there. Now again, I'm so stupid that when I saw that hazard bit on the map, I didn't appreciate that it might be trying to tell me something like, there's a hazard, don't build here. And so I did a bit of research and realised the worms are not friendly at all. They're territorial, in fact. But what a brilliant game. What brilliant thing that they've done. Now, I'm not going to jump ahead, but I've heard that there's other creatures out there on the other planets that sort of take this game and transform this game to something even further. I love it. I cannot wait to experience what else there is. And I'm avoiding everything I can to try and not see what other people have done. So I don't watch, I mean, I watched a few other YouTubers do videos on Factorio, but I don't want to sort of ruin it. This is why I don't read things. I pay attention very, very, very minor way to things because I kind of want to experience them. I've always been like that. It's like if you have, you probably have friends like that who, you know, the new game comes out, or the new film comes out, they rush to see it and they tell you all about it and they ruin it. You know, it's that wonderful Simpsons thing when the guy's coming out of Empire Strikes Back walks past the queue of people about to go into the showing and says, "Who would have believed that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father?" It's brilliant. That's some of the finest writing you'll ever see in comedy there. And I think that's kind of why I'm not rushing this, and I'm desperately trying not to sort of see too much. So there's probably people watching this video that know everything, all of the things that are yet to happen, the spoilers. I'm doing my best not to see them because I don't want to, well, spoiler myself. I want to try and experience it. I want to just lay back and this thing just emerges and sprays and washes all over me. And again, that meant to be less dodgy than it sounded. But I do love that. I love the experience of enjoying it. So what are we doing here on Volcanus? Again, trying not to laugh at the name. I think majority of it is I didn't appreciate, and again, you're going to laugh at me now, so get ready. You can post comments pointing and laughing at me, it's fine. But I thought it was like in space exploration, that when you land on the planet, you're kind of starting again. So you have to then build up to rocket again. Now, I didn't realize I could have actually just been shipping things in. I didn't realize that. It's fine. You can laugh. You can point and laugh. It's fine. So I actually thought, oh, right, I've got to start again. But the difference here is I have a good suit and I have drones. Or did I even have drones? Oh, my goodness. I don't even think I bought drones. So it just shows you how stupid I am that I literally created an entire new base to provide myself initially with drones and then with all of the other building bits. So I probably spent about 5 hours building a base that I really didn't need to, while back on Nauvis, that huge industrial center of production that you saw, was basically waving from a distance saying, you've got a ship, a spaceship, HMS Buttocks, that could go back, pick up all the stuff and bring it back to me. I didn't know that. And I'm fine admitting that to you. So this is why this base maybe looks a bit more comprehensive than probably it needs to be, because I actually could just import most things to this, couldn't I? Like, as I sit back now with hindsight, I realise I've wasted probably about 5 hours of my life that I'm not getting back. But then again, if there was ever a wonderful tagline for Factorio, I think that's probably it. Less for Factorio. I think maybe Eve, that's a better line. You know, I've just spent 3 months grinding for this Titan, and as I undocked, some scamp changed my access and I can't dock, and I've just lost it. Oh well. And I think that things like that, I do like that in games, but sometimes games can be harsh, man, can't they? I mean, post in the comments if you've ever put huge amounts of time into something that then the game has just whipped it away and said, you're not having that, no. Because this is how I felt with this base. I'm like building something and I'm like, oh man, I just need this. Oh God, I need drones. I must have spent at least 30 minutes building a drone. What is wrong with me? Why do I not read these things? Anyway, so what I like about Volcanus is it's so different, and I think the simple fact that there's this territorial worm, and I'm going to point out at this point, I actually don't know how to kill that worm. The next video you're going to see is how I learned that, and it literally took Trouble, my good trusty friend who helped me with this channel, telling me, she came into the game and was, she took one look at the thing and said, well, all right, let me lay it down. So I said, right, I need a bit of help because I cannot kill this worm. And I said, I'd like a second opinion because she's way cleverer than me. And she was like, oh, okay, fine. So she logs in and I show her the worm and I'm like, oh my God, it's crazy, right? What do we do? And we hovered over it and we did the Factorio click on it. So it shows you the sort of, if you don't know, if you hold Alt and then left click on something, it brings up a little Wikipedia in game. And it said it's got 50,000 or 30,000 hit points, but it also regenerates 2,400 hit points a second. So I was sat there with my calculator and my protractor. If you don't know what a protractor is, then you're young. And I was sort of like, well, how do we kill this then? And I thought, well, let's try and make poison. So we made poison. Didn't work. We then saw that lasers do nothing. So obviously the first thing I did to try and kill it was set up a huge amount of lasers. I literally built 20 by 20 grid of lasers and then wondered why it wasn't killing them. You can see where I'm going with this, those that have killed this worm and know what I'm talking about. Because you're kind of like, yeah, you're almost on the right track, but keep going. And then I got to a point where I'm like, well, it says electric kills it, but what does electric? So I start a huge industry of drones, trying to build those defender drones. Yeah, it didn't work. It literally, I took basically about, 100 drones, launched 100 drones, went and attacked the worm, and the worm basically just destroyed them all with its area of effect attack. So at this point, I'm literally on the floor, screaming up into the sky, going, why can I not kill this bleeding thing? So it then took Trouble coming in, took one look at it and said, well, impact physical does some damage to it. And that was it. And then you'll see in the next video how we kill it. But it was funny. I did record it. And then I felt rather stupid at the end of it. But the simple fact that they exist, that they're a new NPC in the game, is wonderful. I absolutely love it. I now feel that this expansion is just huge. Like, it's overwhelming how big it is. And I think that is so cool. Like, I'm really excited to just discover, like, the concept of discovery in this day and age, as you get older particularly, is such a sad thing when you don't really, you don't have time to discover the new things in life. I'll give you an example of this. So all my life, which is a long time, I've got the train into London. I live sort of just outside of London, and I've always got the train into London. Well, yesterday I drove into London for the first, I drove into London for the first time ever, let's say. And I parked basically across the road from where I used to work. And I kid you not, it was the easiest journey I've ever done in my life. And it was like, why have I never done this? Why do I think that it's worse than it really is? And I think this is kind of like my mantra of life now, is things are probably a lot easier than you worry they would be. And worry is a big thing in life nowadays. And no, I'm not going to go down some rabbit hole here, but I do think, when you start to kind of peel away at certain things, you think, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And it's because I overthink things, particularly like, as I say, when I landed on this planet, I didn't research. Can I just export or import things? Can I set up a system here where the ship will go and do something for me? It never occurred to me. And I think that's my problem, is that I don't sort of spend a bit of time. I react very quickly, go and start building things. And I should have just sat back and thought, right, I'm on this planet. What do I do now? How do I get back up to the ship? Like, I really thought to myself, oh, hang on, am I in trouble here? Should I have brought stuff with me? And it then just suddenly dawned on me, oh, well, I better go and build a base then. So that's what I did. I went and I started from scratch and built a base. So as I look back on it now, it's like, oh, what a wally I was to do that. But it was fun. It was fun. And I think where I've got to now on this base is it's pretty sort of good, really. It's sort of doing everything that you need a base to do. And so it's nice to not have to rely on Nauvis for the production here. It's nice not to have loads of ships doing import. I quite like the fact that everything is being produced here. It's doing science. So finally I've managed to get the orange science, for want of a better word, because I can't think it's meta materials or something like that. But the point of coming to this world is to unlock more in the science tree, the research tree, and I've certainly started to do that. For me, the biggest one was cliff explosives. So here you see here, we still got loads of cliffs. Shortly after, I basically got my act together and started to ninja mine tungsten. So let me just explain what I mean by that. So I would build a blueprint with a miner, some solar panels, some accumulators, whatever they're called, and I would run into the worm's territory, place down, and start mining space. Literally was like something out of June. And then as the worm then came to attack my mining operation, I would then just literally pick it all up again and run back into safety. Yeah, I did that for quite some time. I was, sat watching some TV, and literally I was sat ninja mining tungsten just to get the materials together to basically start the science packs to unlock cliff explosives. Oh, my brain hurts from everything I just said there. And I think this is it. I mean, it's when you sort of start to get to this point, I started to really question, oh my goodness, am I actually any good at this game at all? Because I just didn't realise half of these things. And my designs here, look at the blue sites, that makes me sad looking at that. That's so janky, isn't it? But this is how I was, because I'm like, oh my God, I've got to get these things. I've got to build rockets, like quick, just build blue circuits, build them as quick as possible. And I really wasn't putting any thought into the efficiency of it, the simple fact that I could have imported everything I need to here. Oh my gosh, it just breaks my mind. But there we go. So where are we now on Volcanus? Obvious snigger there, but there we go. I think we're doing quite well actually. So Volcanus is definitely getting there. I've started to use beacons a bit more, because you see I started without beacons, I started not really having any modules. This is why it's such a weird design. Again, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people posting in comments about why is this base so stupid. It's fine, it's not great, I do admit, but now I've realised how to do it. I've already started module production again here as well, so I don't really need to import anything. But where I am now is starting to kind of make this base more efficient. I do like the lava concept, by the way. I think that makes things so much easier. It's a really kind of, I think, again, this is all the different mods that have been out there for Factorio for some time. I can't remember if it's Angel's mod or Bob's mod. I forget, but where you liquidize metal and copper. You basically, well, copper is a metal, but you know what I mean. You kind of create effectively foundry processes, so you sort of smelt things. The difference is they didn't make you go to that middle stage of ingots, which is good because that's obviously taking it a bit easier. But I do like the fact that you can just directly produce things like wires, gears, even sticks It sounds small, but it's actually quite useful. I would say it's actually very efficient as well. So the question I have is, I think foundries you can use anywhere, I guess, right? Post in the comments if I have that wrong. So it could be that actually you could, I don't know why you would maybe do this on Nauvis, but is there a speed boost maybe in doing that? Maybe there is. So therefore, yeah, you could feed iron into the foundry, melt it down, and then make liquid metal. I'd have to get my pen and paper out, my abacus, again, if you don't know what that is, you're young, and actually try and work out, is it better to do that? Post in the comments if you know definitively if that's the case, because it would be interesting to know if that is. Now for spaceships, probably foundries might be quite useful as well, but I haven't quite worked out how yet. I was talking in Discord last night to some bros, and it suddenly dawned on me that you could just have a giant mega base in space. Like, you don't need to build this on planet now. If you spend the time and you have the research, you could just build a giant base in space. And that made me so excited. Like, the thought of just saying, right, you could build something that basically just operates in orbit. And when you need certain materials, you go to certain planets. I think around the orbit of Volcanus, it seems there's more metal rocks. Again, post in the comments if I have that wrong. I think I do, but if I don't, then great. I'm assuming that when you go to the further out planets, because I know there's a frozen one because I saw the video, the what do you call it, the video advertising the game. I know there's a frozen planet, so maybe there's more ice there. So it could be that you're just moving that ship around to create materials that then when you're on the ground like here, you can then bring that ship into orbit and just drop all of the things it makes there. I'm sure that's where a lot of you already know the game is, and that's where you already are because you're just amazing. Then post in the comments, tell me that, because I would love to see what people have done here, because the thought of creating a base that produces everything you see here, but it's floating in space, is so exciting to me. I mean, hopefully for the same for you too, because the thought of that is just so cool. Like, I love the thought that it could basically be, you know, an operating orbital forge that just travels around and basically makes things. I just think it's cool. So yeah, post in the comments if that's already where you are and you're laughing and pointing at my flailing around on the surface of Volcanus, attitude. Because honestly, it's been a huge amount of time to get to this point, and then the realization that I didn't need to, it just breaks my mind. It really does. There we go. And yes, I know this is the most inefficient chip production you've ever seen, but you know, this was me at this point thinking, oh God, how do I get off the planet? How do I literally escape this hellscape? Because I did honestly think at one point that worms were going to come and eat me. And I did wonder that, because if you've seen the TikTok, you know what I do. I kind of run up to it, I shoot it, and I didn't mean to. That angered it, and then it destroyed half the base around it. So that tells me that there's probably going to be mods, like, I can't wait for them, that will do two things. There's going to be a mod, definitely, that will make the worms really aggressive and really deadly. Like, yeah, you think you can kill them? No, you can't kill them. So they'll be like thumpers, like in June, where you have to kind of divert them away. Oh my goodness, how cool would that be? Like permanent Dune style Factorio levels where, you know, you're mining stuff, but you have to kind of direct them away. I just can't wait for things like that. And the other one this was a really interesting one I thought, is I can't wait for a mod that is basically, you know, your ship in space, well, it can land on the planet now, and then it becomes like a rig, an oil rig equivalent, where it just lands on these giant stanchions. And then it's like another level in the game. I thought that'd be quite cool as well. But anyway, there we go. So for me, I've got to admit, this was the stupidest thing I've done in Factorio for a long time. And it is because I did play space exploration where you were trapped on that planet once you got there and you had to build up basically to come home. I just thought it was the same again. And it never occurred to me that actually you can just set up supply chains between the two planets now. And all it does is it drops them. Now, because I didn't have the cargo drop center thing built yet, it did mean that everything landed in pods that you had to go collect, but I still think that would have worked fine, because I could have imported all the materials, the buildings, the belts, the just everything really. And I think I was kind of stupid not to even just explore that. Post in the comments if you have done something silly as well, and it's fine to point and laugh. You have my permission to do so. But there we go. So probably next video what we'll do is we'll look at how we tamed the worms, which again sounds so rude. If you put that into Google, you come up with something very different. And I'll show you basically how Trouble was the one who basically worked out how to kill it, and I give all credit to her. But I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time.